Hi, everyone. I'm Madison Best, Director of Content at Alt Sports Data, and you're listening to the Alt Sports Show presented by NXTbets. NXTbets is the media arm of Alt Sports Data, and Alt Sports Data is the official data provider of emerging sports, specifically in the niche alternative and action sports space. ASD provides sports betting and daily fantasy operators such as DraftKings, FanDuel, and Underdog Fantasy with the odds and finishing positions for league partner events. Alt Sports Data provides official data for some of the most popular alternative sports leagues and competitions in the world, such as F1, Supercross, Disc Golf Pro Tour, World Surf League, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, and PBR. Check out nextbets.com to see all of ASD's partner leagues and how you can bet on or make picks on these sports. Everything is geo-targeted to your specific location, and we have exclusive sign-up offers. Now, let's bring in today's guest. He's a legend in the professional bull riding space. He was the 2009 PBR World Champion, and in 2023 was ranked number 22 on the list of the top 30 bull riders in PBR history. He was named Rookie of the Year in 2005 and went on to win 24 events, earning over $3.2 million, and now he's the head coach of the New York Mavericks. Please welcome Kody Lostroh. Welcome, Kody.
Hey, thank you. It's good to be here. I appreciate you having me on.
No, thank you. Thank you for coming on. Can you share a bit about your bull riding career and what led you to join the New York Mavericks as head coach?
Yeah, so I guess you kind of laid it out there in my bull riding career. Like most guys do, I started when I was a young kid and just kind of progressed through the ranks. And I had no talent for a long time, so it was nice to finish my career on a high note and have some success. But after my bull riding was over, I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to do for a living. Maybe I still don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up. But regardless, when the PBR Teams League got started up 4 years ago, I got hired on as an assistant coach of a different team. And then when the expansion took place and the new teams came along, including the New York Mavericks, I was hired as head coach there. So that's kind of how I came to be throughout my career into the position I'm in now.
That's awesome. And so far, what's been your experience like, with the New York Mavericks? Talk me through kind of a little bit about the team and kind of like how you sort of have your team structured and kind of what your goals are for the team overall.
Yeah, so our team is mainly a bunch of young guys, and that kind of happened by chance, I guess. When the expansion took place, we were able to pick off some riders from existing teams. But those existing teams got to protect a certain amount of riders. So obviously they protected all their best riders, and we kind of picked up some young guys that had talent, but needed some time, right? And so that's where we started and where we're at now. We've got a bunch of really, really talented young guys that it's been fun, throughout the past year and a half now to watch their career unfold and watch these guys really get better and improve. And that's what we're about. I like the malleable minds of young bull riders. They're not so stuck in different ways that would keep them from reaching their full potential. So it's been really fun to be able to just share what I know and my expertise with these guys and watch them grow and foster that toughness and that cowboy mentality, because that's really what a lot of this sport comes down to is really believing in yourself, because you're outmatched every time. So we can foster that attitude, that grit. It goes a long ways.
Yeah, I mean, and speaking of young guys, Hudson Bolton just won the Rookie of the Year despite competing in just 12 events during the 2025 season. If you had to sum him up in 3 words or less, what would those words be?
3 words. Oh, that's tough. I'd say chill, talented, and freakish. And the reason I say that last one is because that kid is an athlete. No matter what he wants to do, you could have him swim and he's going to beat everybody. You could have him ride bulls and he's going to beat everybody. You could probably have him do ballet and he's going to beat everybody. It's just one of those guys that makes you mad as a fellow competitor. You're like, I put in all this work and he could do anything without trying. So he's a heck of a good kid.
Well, I'd like to see him, doing some ballet. I feel like that would definitely, I think, take off. Maybe go viral or something.
We better keep that off the camera then. I can't have one of my Mavericks doing ballet, but I bet he's good at it.
And I know the Mavericks had the 2nd overall pick in the PBR team's new rider draft and selected Trey Holston. As head coach, what stood out to you about him?
Well, Trey, I've watched him ride for several years now. He's actually been riding in a different organization called the PRCA, the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association, which is what the PBR branched off of, 25 years ago. But I've watched him really like the way he rides. He rides correct, not a whole lot of flaws in his fundamentals. But the kicker for me is when I talked to that young kid, he had everything. He said everything right. Now, I don't know if he planned it that way or what, but he's very, very dedicated to his craft, works hard at it every day, and really expects that putting in the work will get him where he wants to be. And that did it for me, because there's the guys that have that type of attitude can go as far as they want to go, but the guys that just rely on their talent and never put in the work, there's a pretty hard ceiling to them. So Trey said all the right things and rides the right way, and really looking forward to what he can do.
That's awesome. And what is the identity, of the New York Mavericks, and how have you shaped it as a head coach?
Yeah, the identity of the Mavericks, is like I'd mentioned, just toughness and grit, and really putting in the work. Like that's what I'm all about, is the work. And I guess that's partly where I come from, because as I mentioned before, I didn't have a whole lot of talent. It took work to get where I was at, and that's what I believe in. And so that's what we do. We're all about pushing each other to put in the work every day, not only in the arena, but outside the arena, right? We want to create a great bull riding team, but also a great group of men that have a positive impact on this world too. And I think the bull riding, the whole cowboy and Western culture really has an opportunity to do that now as it's growing, and getting more and more mainstream. So we train hard and we push each other every day in and out of the arena.
Yeah, what you just said kind of reminds me of a saying or quote that I used to love and still love. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. I always loved that quote. Yeah, so I mean, kind of going off of that, how do you approach building chemistry and trust in a sport where, athletes compete individually, but they win as a team?
Yeah, so the bull riding world is pretty unique in a lot of these other sports, because it is so dangerous, and you spend time with guys doing dangerous things. You see their highs and lows, you see injuries and triumphs. These guys get really close to each other. So without actually trying terribly hard, just having these guys in the same building, the same group, doing the same things over and over, they do develop a relationship and a trust amongst each other that there's not an outsider can't step foot into that type of friendship. Like, it is truly unique to them. And so just the sport builds itself towards those type of things, just because of the danger aspect of it. But also some of the training we do, these guys get pushed to their limits, not only physically, but mentally. Some of the specific training we do, and I want to actually induce panic into their minds and see how they handle it, and then watch them learn how to handle it better, because that's a lot of what bull riding is. It's not always comfortable and fun, and heck, most people watching it probably think it's never comfortable and fun, but it actually can be when you do it right. But there's always the danger and the panic that is there, and if a guy can't control that, you cannot be successful. So we intentionally put ourselves in those situations.
Yeah, that was gonna be one of my next questions. Was, can you walk us through what a typical team training session looks like? Yeah, would love to kind of just get a better idea on kind of what that looks like on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so it kind of depends on the situation and where we're at. Training can be a little complex, whether we're getting on bucking bulls, and practicing on the real thing, or in the gym, staying fit physically. But my favorite, and this is the one you'll like to hear, is the pool training. And so you would think, what's swimming got to do with riding bulls? But not only is it great physically, as everybody who's ever swam knows that it's tiring, but we use it actually to induce that panic, to induce that fear. So it's pretty easy when you get your heart rate up and go underwater, you take away somebody's oxygen, and in about 30 seconds, you can get panic out of them. And so we do that. We get our heart rate up, down underwater, doing different things in the bottom of the pool, whether it's like we'll have competitions. Submerge a bucket in the bottom of the pool, and each team has to go down there and blow air into the bottom of the bucket that's 12 foot deep.
Wow.
To float this bucket that's attached to a weight. So say a 15-pound weight, and they have to float this thing to the surface. So they're hustling, they're hurrying, their heart rate's up, they're trying to win, but now they're going to have to go to the bottom of the pool and blow out all their air.
Wow,
And
that sounds super intense.
it
Good
sounds
workout.
terrifying when I explain it.
Yeah, it does. I know. I'm visually imagining it in my head, and I'm like, I could see how that would induce panic. But-
Yeah, yeah, it sure can. And the thing is, you can be panicked and out of oxygen and still, get control of your mind and function and get the job done. And that's what it's all about, right? Mind control.
Mhm.
And so the pool stuff is always my favorite. And I know the guys hate it. They absolutely hate it. But when they're done, they're like, yeah, like they're proud of themselves, but in the moment they hate me and hate life. But they keep getting in.
Wow. No, I definitely never knew that was part of the training process for you guys. So that's really interesting to learn and hear more about. What makes bull riding coaching unique compared to coaching traditional team sports?
Well, I think, bull riding has been such an individual sport forever that teaching or coaching guys that are used to doing it on their own, having their own way, and basically being accountable to nobody, it comes with some challenges. These guys didn't grow up in team sports, most of them. Even Trey Holston, the guy we just picked up in the draft, he used to be a wrestler, which I really like, but once again, it's not a team sport. So that's been the biggest difference, right? Is getting guys that are used to being fiercely independent on board with being a team, and sometimes, doing what makes the most sense for the team versus what makes the most sense for themselves. And so, personally, I think that's the biggest difference is you've got just that mentality that takes a little time to adapt to.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. What is the selection process like to, make the decision on which rider gets on which bull and what goes into that matchup strategy? I'm sure a lot of people who, don't follow the sport, are curious to kind of, hear the answer to that question.
Absolutely. So as coaches at these events, we get we get our bull list and we have our riders that we're going to bring and we get to match them up accordingly to make the best possible chances for us to ride all those bulls. And typically if say a guy rides left-handed, he's going to be stronger on a bull that spins to the left.
Hmm.
And the reason for that is just mechanics, right? Like he's got his arm down on that side. He can help to pull himself that direction versus, a bull spinning the other way. There's less room for error. It's actually not any harder. It's just if you screw up, it's hard to recover from.
Yeah.
So typically I like to have a good, mix of strong righties and strong lefties that I can put on different bulls that spin a certain direction. But beyond that, there's certain types of bulls that buck differently, right? So one might kick harder than another, or one might, jump higher than another. And so riders get kind of, there's like bulls that fit their style. And so my job is to try to line up those bulls that fit their style and their direction best I can. And that should get us what we're after. But there's always those one bulls nobody wants, nobody gets along with, and somebody's got to step up to the plate. And a lot of times I like to just throw it out there and see who's feeling confident that day,
Yeah.
and let them pick.
No, absolutely. And you kind of already went over this a little bit with the whole like pool training. But can you share a behind the scenes story that illustrates the grit of one of your riders?
Yeah. So we'll go back to the pool stuff. One of the exercises we were doing one day in the pool was carrying these 45-pound dumbbells from the deep end to the shallow end, but entirely underwater. So you're holding the weight and you're walking on the bottom. You start at 12 foot and it gradually goes higher. And there's, it's a competition always. And so there's a guy on one side of the pool, a guy on the other. And we had one of the guys that actually blacked out right as he got to the far end of the pool, which it's 25 meters. It's not terribly far, but underwater carrying weight seems like a lot farther than that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it though, right? Like that's the mentality. I'm gonna win or I'm gonna pass out trying, and that's kind of that mentality that we're after.
Yeah. No, what a mentality to have. And yeah, I feel like that whole, even when you initially were talking about it, that whole like pool training process just sounds like it builds a lot of character, builds a lot of toughness. So no, that's really awesome to hear and really, really interesting. What makes the New York Mavericks fan base special?
Well, the Mavericks fan base is special because of New York. Is my opinion.
Mhm.
You know, the fans in New York are the best sports fans in the world, as
Mhm.
far as I'm concerned. We had our inaugural event in Brooklyn last year, and it was a packed house, and it was hands down the best crowd I've ever heard at a bull riding. And I am positive that half of those people had no idea what the rules were, what they were watching, first time they'd ever seen it. But they had such a good time and they got behind their team, right? Like it didn't matter if they knew what was going on. They enjoyed it. They got behind their team and they cheered loud and even booed the other side when the other team would do whatever they did. So it was really entertaining. And that's why I think that our fans there in New York are really unique. But all over the country, there's other New York Mavericks fans that I think they're falling right in line with that they're really loyal.
Yeah. I actually remember I was in Brooklyn one of the weekends that they were doing like a bull riding event there, and everybody, like, there was a ton of people that went. Like, I had friends that went. They had never heard of of PBR, didn't really know much about bull riding, and like absolutely loved it. Even if you don't understand the rules, you're totally right in saying New York fans are just so passionate, and no matter, as long as it's got New York in front of it, they're backing the team. So
That's 100% right.
yeah. So, what do you want new fans who don't know much about PBR to know about the sport of bull riding and this team specifically?
Fans new to the sport, I guess what I would want you to most know is what just a raw form of true I guess cowboy grit that bull riding is. That's like I said, we're inspired by people that do great things, and that's what the PBR has always been about is the greatest bulls and the greatest riders head to head.
Mm.
And so it's such a unique deal there where it's like it's as real and as raw as it gets. And once you come once, you're hooked. That's it. I've never seen somebody that showed up and didn't enjoy it coming back for a second time.
That's great.
Um, and specifically the Mavericks, I just want you to know that we may be a young team, but we're the team that's going to be kicking everybody's butt here soon. So keep an eye on us.
I love to hear that. Yeah, and I know you mentioned earlier, like you're like, maybe I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. If you weren't coaching bull riders, what would you be doing instead?
Well, if I wasn't coaching bull riders, I don't know. Maybe I'd be in jail. It's hard saying. Uh, I really enjoy ranching and raising cattle. I actually raise bucking bulls as well, and that's probably what I'd be doing is actually hauling the bulls versus coaching the guys getting on them. But honestly, I enjoy the coaching side of things as much as anything I've ever done in my life. Um, Being able to help the sport grow and it's something that's been such an intimate part of my life for so long means a lot to me. So I'm super thankful to be able to still give back to the sport in that capacity.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Um, what's one thing that fans would be surprised to learn about you?
Well, I hate to admit it, but I'm kind of a book nerd. Like I really like reading and learning and most of what I read is like, functional, like stuff I can use in my own life.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. I got a vast library upstairs of books that I've bought over the years, and most people don't know I'm a nerd that way.
Do you have a favorite book?
I do. Fearless by Eric Blem or Belm. Can't remember exactly how to pronounce his last name. But it's a story of a guy that was kind of in a rough spot in life. He was hooked on drugs, making bad decisions, joined the Navy to get his life straightened around, went on to become a SEAL and then be selected for even, the elite of the elite SEALs
Mhm.
and did amazing things. But the gist of the story is how much he overcame so many obstacles. Uh, and his wife was just a rock star and really believed him and stood him up, held him up when he was weak. And it's super inspiring. Like I've never read a story that made me uh, just want to get after it as much as that, because I realize that there's not as many problems in our lives as what we think they are. We live pretty relaxed lives compared to some stuff other people go through, and I think we can learn from that and push ourselves even further because of it.
No, I definitely need to read that book. I haven't read it. I also love reading, so it sounds like a really, inspirational book. And I love reading those books as well that make you feel like super motivated after reading them and puts kind of everything in perspective.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, how do you see the future of team bull riding evolving in the next, I don't know, maybe 5-10 years?
Well, the future teams, I believe, is going to keep growing. It's been very successful, mind-blowingly successful, actually, in the first 4 years, and I think that it's going to continue that. We're going to sell more franchises and expand the league bigger and bigger. Um, the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to, and I know will continue to happen, and it's happening now, is like the young guys coming in, their learning curve jumping to this level. There's some sort of a learning curve for everybody, but I 100% believe that this is shortening the learning curve for these guys. So we're going to see greater bull riders quicker, but
Mhm.
also not only that, the best parts of their career I think are going to last longer because they're getting there faster. Um, Kind of under that mindset that the body only has so many bulls in it before it breaks down and you can't do it anymore. So if we can shorten that learning curve and get these guys just as best as they could possibly be quicker, they're going to have very long, successful careers. That's what I see happening, and I'm looking forward to it.
That's awesome. And sort of going off of that, what legacy do you hope to leave as a PBR head coach?
No, my goodness, you put me on the spot there. Uh,
I know it's a pretty intense question to end with, right?
yeah, yeah. I guess I've never thought of myself as leaving legacies for myself, right? I want to leave the world and the sport and everything a better place than when I got here. Like contribute to the greater good with the success that I've had and what I've learned. And so that would be what I would want to leave. Is nothing to do with me, but the fact that these young guys and the sport could springboard off of some of my success and my knowledge and experience and do greater things than I ever did.
No, it's a great answer. Um, so when and where do Maverick Days return to New York this year? They're in September, right?
Yeah, on my birthday actually. So if
Oh.
you come out and see it, make sure you bring me a cake. It's September 18th, 19th, and 20th, unless they change the dates on me and I'm wrong. But yeah, it's at the UBS Center in Belmont Park.
Awesome.
And so it's a super nice facility. We actually had last year we were at the Barclays Center, which was great. But the UBS facility looks really, really cool. We went to a hockey game there in January that was top notch. So we're looking forward to getting in there and seeing our fans again.
Yeah, no, that'll be amazing. Yeah, well, thank you so much, Kody, for taking the time. It's it's been really great speaking with you, and I'm so glad that you took the time to just come on the show and we were able to be, connected. And I'm so excited to follow along with Maverick Days. I think I'm actually out of town that weekend. Otherwise, I would definitely want to be in attendance. But yeah, thank you so much again, and really appreciate you coming on the show. And I really learned a lot from our conversation. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. It's a pleasure to be on. And if you miss us this year, you better come next year when we come back to Brooklyn.
I will be there at some point. I promise. It sounds awesome. You won't want to miss PBR Team's Maverick Days on September 18th to September 20th at UBS Arena in Belmont Park, New York. Thursday, September 18th and Friday, September 19th at 7:45 p.m. Eastern, and Saturday, September 20th at 5:45 p.m. Eastern. Tickets start at $25 and are available at Ticketmaster, PBR.com, or by phone at 917-618-6100. You can follow the Mavericks on Facebook or on social media at NY_Mavericks. Also, you can follow NXTbets USA on Instagram and NXTbets on X and TikTok to keep up with all things alternative and niche sports betting. And what an incredible conversation with Kody. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Alt Sports Show presented by NXTbets. Make sure you keep an eye out for our next episode. But if you have picks, plays, or questions before then, hit us up on social or at nextbets.com. But until next time, stay sharp, bet responsibly, and keep backing what's next.